Let's have a look. Just check we're live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday tune-in. Here with Andy. Hi, Andy.
Hello, GoPro.
I held it sideways so they couldn't know it was a GoPro.
I can
It's a
see.
microphone.
Wow, Dave. Wow. Let's have a little look then. If you've just joined us, do let us know who's here. Let's have a little look who's in the comments.
Laura Collins.
Laura Collins.
I think she's been first before and got a buff out of it.
I think she's probably got about 40 buffs now by being the first to actually do that. So yeah. Definitely.
Emily Cathil.
Hey Emily. Hey Shona. We got Bob.
Bob.
Who else we got then? Let us know how you're feeling today. I know it's whether or not you're in country because sorry about the pun. Namaste from Cambodia. Marky V, of course you'll be joining us even when you're on a trip, mate. Well done.
Do they say namaste in Cambodia?
No, but I think he's just being topical.
Yeah, I know, but what do they say in Cambodia, Mark? What's the namaste equivalent?
Yeah, what's hello? What's the welcome? What's the greeting?
Yeah.
Was it Sawadi in Thailand? What would it be in Wales?
All right, bud.
I knew you were going to say that. I was thinking then, what is all right in Wales?
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us. Wait till a few more are on. We've got Bry, Stuart Taylor, we've got Kathy, we've got Shane, we've got Jim Blues, fresh from base camp. Hope all is well, Jim. Loved your pictures, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I know you. Marky V, hang on. Give it a Google, is it, Mark?
He's shouting, "What's hello?" Yeah, David Clift.
David Clift, yeah. Thanks, David. I know I pinged a reply to David yesterday off the back of a little video that some videos we sent out, and I really appreciate all the really nice responses back to it. And I know it's a really difficult time. If you're due to go out and we've got the things that are currently happening, we know it's challenging at the moment. So
it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's a bit mad, isn't it? A bit mad.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a pun then. That's like a nerve.
Not yet. Okay. Not yet. Give it time.
But Fee is on the queues today, so yeah, I'll little bimbling yeti. Susadil. Oh, nice. What was it? Susadi. Sorry. Susadi. Mark.
Susadi everyone.
Susadi everyone.
Especially our friends
Namaste
in Cambodia.
Everyone. All right, but to everyone.
Carl Gidney. Do you reckon he's related to Zachariah?
I reckon it might be familiar, although Zach is deeping doing some editing at the moment.
Yeah.
He's got his headphones on, just looking in the window there. But hey, Pete Chapman. Well, look, let's start. Obviously today.
Yeah, let's open the floodgates.
Wow. No. All jokes aside, we wanted to kind of today actually we did have another kind of Tuesday tune-in plan, which was actually about boots. Funny enough. We're actually going to do that next week because next week we've got a biggie, and we thought, with all the questions we had, like yesterday was one of the busiest days we've had in probably the last 12 months for the team here, and well done to all the Yetis on that. I know it was really busy, obviously because there's a lot of challenges at the moment with weather. Over in Nepal, I think unless you've been hiding under a rock, you see that there's been a lot of delays over in Nepal. And that comes with its challenges. And we thought, well, let's talk about it because obviously there's a lot of questions. We thought we can chat about it directly as well. And obviously we tried to address some of it yesterday. We sent a little video, just some FAQs, just around specifics around trips, and we hope that helped in some way. And obviously we've had people who rescheduled because of the issues that they kind of want a bit more certainty, and we understand that. Because when there's bad weather, it is hard, and it is, especially if your trip gets affected. In our experience, and even our team's experience, who've been operating far longer than us over in Nepal, even they've said that they've never seen it quite like this. Have they? Speaking to the team,
do you know what? It's really difficult not to pun because I almost said it's been a perfect storm, but I didn't want to do that just yet. But no, it has been a sort of a. We had obviously every time we come into September, there's always like an elevated risk of weather delays in September because the monsoon did stretch slightly into October, and then there's this cyclone that's come, and it's been a really difficult thing. I want to give a shout out to all the EverTrekkers that are out there at the moment. I know it's been a difficult challenge in time, and we've had to be flexible and adapt to that because it's been really tricky to kind of do things, and we've been really working 9 o'clock to try and make sure that every trip that we do is salvaged, and your dream of getting to EDC is fulfilled. It is tricky because Ramachap, I was chatting to Anuj over there. Many of you guys will know or heard of Anuj. He's their head of operations over in Nepal. And right in the middle of Dashain, the biggest festival of the year. We have 1,000 people, not us, but everybody, all the adventure travel companies. Yeah, all the adventure travel companies had 1,000 people stuck in Mantali, which is near Ramachap, unable to move, all waiting for the same transports to come and relieve them and get them to the mountains or get them home. So yeah, it's been eventful.
Yeah,
and yeah, the perseverance and positivity that's been shown has been quite encouraging. And but it highlights, and maybe I even think that perhaps we had such a long time during COVID where we weren't doing trips. We almost kind of forgot what adventure travel can be like.
Yes,
we've been stuck. Lots of other people have got stuck. It's really, really tricky, and we are going to a really, really remote area of the world where there are no roads, no cars, no buses, no anything really other than flight, and flight can only happen if there's good weather. So it's been really tricky. But,
it's the team have come together, and especially the team in Nepal, because obviously they've been stretched, and Anuj essentially has been stretched a lot, but obviously it's a very rare occurrence for this to happen. So obviously we're starting on a downer, but that was obviously it has been challenging, incredibly difficult to kind of manage, but we'd rather be doing this kind of stuff than obviously during the pandemic we couldn't do this stuff at all. So we always talk about, and the wall, the other side of this wall here, there's a neon sign as you walk to the office saying it's all about all about the journey.
Yeah,
I still try to remember what my own say it was, but it is all about the journey, and the journey sometimes isn't always a straight road.
No,
we'll always work hard to make sure that it's straight as we can make it, but obviously there's things that can upset that and have bumps in the road, and any changes we make, anything like that at all, is always for the number one, obviously, is safety, because obviously if you can't fly, we want to make sure that getting to where you need to get to is a safe way to get there. And at the moment, lately it's been mad, because not only have there been situations where the planes can't fly, but also helicopters haven't been able to fly in certain instances, which is nuts. And we were watching that Aftershock documentary yesterday.
Wow! If anyone hasn't seen that on Netflix,
brilliant, by the way, brilliant.
Wow! I mean,
it's an eye-opener.
I'd heard about the devastation, but I must confess to not seeing the devastation. But particularly in Langtang village, what happened there is, man, it's in that was crazy. But they talk about one thing, that helicopters don't like to fly.
That's it.
During bad wind and heavy cloud, because in those clouds can be little rocks and things like
that.
And
that was it.
Because the winds in the Himalaya are so powerful. You've all seen those plumes that come off Everest. Well, it happens on lesser peaks as well.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff comes down off the high peaks, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 meters, and comes down through the air.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of considerations with helicopters. One of the other tricky things as well, which we've realized recently, is we always want to go from A to B in a helicopter.
Yeah.
But the helicopter's got to get from point 1 to point A.
Yeah.
So we can start. So there's a lot. It's like a giant elaborate chess match with like people and helicopters, and you've got to try and maneuver everything
logistically challenging,
so you can do it. So absolutely. It's been an interesting couple of days, but again, remaining positive. Do you know what? As stressful as it is, it's not as stressful as not being able to run trips because of a pandemic. So yes, I think we're all, us and every EverTrekker, is still very fortunate that we can go to Nepal and do these adventures.
Exactly. And that isn't using the pandemic as kind of an excuse for what's happening. It's obviously we're doing what we can for our EverTrekkers, and it's good to see. We've had a lot of positive message and a lot of like, look guys, we know you can't control the weather, you're doing everything you can, and look, we really love that positivity. That shows the true EverTrekker spirit.
Yeah.
So thanks to all EverTrekkers that are going through this. I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
We've been stuck. We've been delayed ourselves. I know people on the live would have been in the same situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, wanted to give a little bit of context about what we're going to talk about. So sorry to start off up there. Let's bring it back up there, Tui, because when these things happen, there's always something we can do. And like obviously what we've been going through the last kind of month, really. Especially over the last kind of week, even more so because it's obviously the amount of people are over there. There are generally things we can do weather delays. The thing we try and limit as much as possible is impact on the itinerary.
Yeah.
So essentially, when you arrive on a trip, say let's just use Everest Base Camp. I know there's other routes out there like Gokyo Valley, Three Peaks, Three Passes, Island Peak, Mera Peak. There's other trips in that area, and kind of Annapurna is different to this because you don't have to go to Lukla, different part of Nepal, and essentially during that time period, let's say 15 days, we want to get you to Everest Base Camp. Now, very, very rarely, I can literally count on one hand the amount of times that we've had to change itineraries over the last 6.5 years, which is mad, really, because actually that has probably been tripled in the last 3 days.
I know. I was going to say. I am having to get some more hands, but like, up until this last batch, up until sort of I would say mid last week. Yeah, I think maybe once or twice. If that, I definitely know of one that I can recall. I'm going to go twice just in case I forgot one.
No, it's just rare, isn't it?
Where we've had to amend itineraries. Now, that's the hardest bit really, because you've got to make a call. Yeah. And you have to make that call at a time that's pretty uncertain. So it's really easy if like the weather and everybody would say, this is what is going to happen in 3 to 4 days. What would your decision like to be? But of course, the weather doesn't do that. Yeah. We have to kind of use our best guess of what it's going to be and then weigh up the options. And some of those things were like, it may get better, it may not. Yeah. Some flights may run, some may not. All of those 1,000 people that are stuck may get out, some of them may not. Yeah. So then we have to make a call in real time. Okay, do we persevere with the plan or do we go with an alternative? Yeah. And we have had to go with a couple of alternatives recently.
We have. I mean, in rare occasions, we've had to, and this was probably, I don't know if it was last year or year before, there was, luckily it was a small group and they couldn't get to, I think they were delayed by 3 or 4 days. And then obviously our news was like, why don't we kind of shift to the Annapurna region because we can physically get there? Yeah. And we discussed those options with the EverTrekkers and they were like, yeah, let's do it. And, we did say to them, look, we know this is nuts and we want to get you to Everest. It's not going anywhere. Let's have that chat when you get back. But for now, I just want you to enjoy your time in Nepal as much as possible. Yeah. So we put an itinerary together that was in Annapurna region because we can drive to the start of that trek. You can fly there as well, but obviously you can physically get there if it's bad weather. And if that bad weather doesn't go away for a week, we can still maximize your time. And they came back from that, loved it. Obviously, the Annapurna region is amazing. So that is an option. Yeah. And I know there's probably a lot of questions around it as well. So we'll come on to that. But the point is that when you've got a fixed amount of time to work with, we obviously want to try and limit the impact as much as we can. This week, there's been a few, obviously, questions and like, why is it changing, this kind of thing. And it's something that we physically have to do. We always, because this is adventure travel, because this is, you're in a remote region, that we have to remain a little bit flexible when it comes to these itineraries. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd say, look, your itinerary is not going to change. But in the way we've worked, we have to remain it because for safety, for the restriction of time, for logistical reasons, we have to try and remain as flexible as we can. So to anyone that's obviously listening and is going on a trip or on a trip, because I don't know if there's anyone that's actually on a trek who's on here at the moment, just going through some of the comments. If it is, I hope you're all well.
Hey, Vicky's in Dingboche.
Oh, here we go. Hey, as we say that.
Victoria, how you doing?
Hey, Vicky.
I
was that Vicky done as well?
Yeah, I feel like I've been waiting a long time for Victoria. I hope you're having an awesome time on that trip. Yeah. Honestly, I gave a shout out last week to all the people, particularly Diane, who was like always positive on Strava. Well, thank you everybody, by the way, for now spamming me on Strava. I really appreciate it. Is everyone
following you on Strava?
I'll be honest with you, everyone's not spamming. One person spammed, and I'll give you a clue. His name's Bri McAlpine. And I think he double and triple liked every activity in the past 18 months. But Victoria, wow, I want to say we'd not really had a chance to speak at one point. This is a little bit of a digression. You can reel me in a minute.
Okay.
I'll get my and after I had my knee injury and we talked about it, Victoria was one of the first people to message me and say hope he gets better, hope he gets it. So I've always had a bit of a soft spot. But and she opened the floodgates. I did have a lot, but I don't. Victoria sticks in my mind because it was one of the first that I got.
I can imagine after a big injury and you get a message. So Victoria, blaming you for the tears, all right?
No, she's awesome, and it's a good crack as well. So so back to the rain.
Yes, unfortunately. But no, Vicky, I hope you're all good. Sorry, well, I kind of lost my thread now where I was going. Yeah, that's right. With the
Changes,
the changes and things like that, we just wanted to basically talk about the options, because change of itinerary is kind of a last resort. Before then, we look at obviously transport, whether that's especially in the Everest region. Generally, the only time you can get there is if there's bad weather, is choppers, helicopters. There was a lot of questions around helicopters. Now, the big thing about them is that obviously we don't own these companies. These are external companies we've used, and sometimes they're quite hard to tie down. It's very different to how it works like in the Western world, especially in the UK, where you can kind of pre-book them. You can get a set amount for them. Literally, we could negotiate, and Anuj, who manages this situation for the helicopters, obviously he's dealing with a lot of groups as well, but essentially he tries to get access to these helicopters. Now, these are the same helicopters that are actually rescuing people as well, so which is a priority. Then if they're available, it depends where they are, because when we organize these helicopters, they give us a price.
Yeah.
And it's not just the price per person. There's like, what they call it,
they call it a positioning
fee.
But we don't charge that to our customers.
No, we kind of they kind of swallow that, don't they?
Yeah.
But it's things we have to negotiate, because obviously there's are they in Kathmandu? They got to get to Ramachap. Are they in Lukla? They got to get to Ramachap. Have they got to refuel? There's a lot of things that go into it. It's not just what the per person charges. So that's one thing. But also as well, they're not always available.
No,
which is always then we're like, oh, let's get these choppers, and they're kind of, they'll give you one price, and then 5 minutes later they'll call back and say, sorry, we've just got a price for this. It's now double, and which is always really, really challenging, because you're like, no, we agreed this.
Yeah.
Generally, isn't it? Anuj is pretty strong when it comes to.
Yeah, well,
so
all you have to do is Google Nepal helicopter rescue, and you'll have plenty of articles to read that'll give you an idea of how difficult that industry can be to navigate.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate to have Anuj and the team out there who have a really good relationship with a really good, legit helicopter rescue company that operates as close as we can to Western standards. But there are only X amount of helicopters in the region at any one time.
Yeah.
And we have had people who have, I think a couple of years back, called the helicopter company, got a price. We weren't there to kind of help it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't turn up, and you call it, and then, we'll send it in 2 hours, but the price has gone up to this much. So we have a news so helpful, who's like on the phone negotiating, making sure that it arrives and that the price is agreed. Yeah. And also, we don't make a penny on that, by the way. We don't. When it comes to helicopters, we don't. It's not a product we sell.
No.
Literally, whatever the price is the price we pass on. We don't make any money on it at all. And we've got no interest in doing so. But it is. It's a tricky industry, I think, and I think it is just
in Nepal.
Yeah, and it's one of those where I think, because we talk a lot about helicopters whenever there's weather issues, so naturally we've been talking a lot about them. And it is one of those things that we do say, we do our best to look after you, and we do our best to take care of you. But even helicopters have their restrictions, right? They're still, they're not necessarily a go-to for any scenario.
No, it's an option we can lean on, and obviously these are, especially with these are costs that are additional costs as well. Obviously, we because of the costs of them and the type of transport, obviously we don't get involved in that. So obviously these are, and it can be a surprise. We're trying to some of the people, they're like, yeah, cool, yeah, we knew it was an extra cost. Other people have said, oh, we wish we knew, which is fine. And if there's information we've got to make clear, we will. But whenever there's helicopters, obviously, because these are additional costs, it's good to have some kind of, obviously, some cash for that, because sometimes it's like, finding £300-400 isn't easy, and we understand that. It's just an option that we can bring in for going, basically for, if that's an option. So we've got the change of itinerary, we've got the helicopter situation. Normally as well, because we have kind of days built in, acclimatization days, and not that we want to affect acclimatization, but they're built in just to make it a bit easier. It doesn't mean, we physically, you can skip those days, but that's only if you're delayed by a day. The difficulty is then if you're delayed by 3 to 5 days.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, well, that itinerary isn't going to work for you now, because of obviously because of where you've got to get to logistically. It might mean that, for instance, if you go to Gokyo Valley and you've lost 3 days, obviously then the only way, and you want to get a base camp, is to go straight there instead of, because you just haven't got enough time.
Yeah.
And I know that's like massively frustrating, because obviously if it was me, I remember the first time I went to Everest, and this was before EverTrek was a thing. I was doing the 3 passes, but I was doing it kind of anti-clockwise. And so I went to base camp first because that was my ultimate goal. But because the weather was so bad, all the passes were closed, and I was like gutted. I was like, bloody hell, I wanted to do that. But you know what? I look back on it, and for me, it was about getting to Everest base camp. Obviously, I lost out because I wanted to do the 3 peaks, 3 passes. But ultimately, the weather, and I did go in winter, so this is different. And I got stuck in Lukla for 4 days. So I've had those things happen, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But obviously know that we'll do whatever we can, in terms of the time constraints, to make sure, firstly, with the ultimate goal is to get to Everest base camp, and if not, we'll try and create some sort of trip that you'll remember. And obviously we're using Annapurna as a region, as Marky V said there. Don't see Annapurna as less. I know it's less in terms of height, in terms of mountains, but in terms of area, it's just as beautiful as the Everest area.
It is. It just doesn't have that. The one thing is, it doesn't have Everest.
Yeah.
Everest is the draw. It's the biggest mountain on Earth. Everyone wants to see Everest.
Yeah.
But in terms of everything else about Annapurna, it's 50-50. Some people that have done both say Annapurna is the one you want to go to. That's the more beautiful one.
Yeah.
And you can have some really good debate about the Everest region versus Annapurna. But it's certainly not less of a trek. And the weather is one of those things that sadly even Yetis can't control.
Yeah.
So, we are loath to kind of change itineraries, but we do this in conjunction. So if you were out there and we had these decisions to make, we'd have a discussion with you, tell you what your options are. Yeah. Sometimes neither of those are ideally what you wanted to do, but we have to do something in order to salvage the trip. We can't afford just to sit in Kathmandu and wait it out, because, we have to get you there. We have to get you to the mountain so you can do it.
Yeah,
it's it's a challenging time. Hopefully the weather's going to start to get better now. I think towards the end of the week, beginning of next week, the weather's going to improve.
Yeah, and we fingers crossed, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a gap of about 3 days before it comes back.
That's not a promise. Looking at it, any of you that have ever been trekking in Wales will understand that the forecast means nothing.
Yeah.
The Himalaya, I always say, reminds me a lot about Wales sometimes with its weather.
It changes like that, right? Like Scotland, parts of the UK, it's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I remember one time walking up to Namche and I got sunburned, and then the next day I got drenched.
I know,
and it's like you just don't know what you never know what you're gonna get. It's but honestly, it's all part of the adventure. It's all part of the journey. It's why adventure travel has the word adventure in it.
Yes.
We always used to say back in the early days, that these trips are not holidays.
Well, they're not for everyone.
You may have to take some holiday in order to get it.
Yeah.
But it is an adventure. And what makes an adventure, in my opinion, a lot of the time is that uncertainty, that having to sort of willingness to adapt in real time to situations and almost just follow your nose and find your way there. And honestly, the harder the journey, the greater the prize. And I honestly think that like the harder it is for you to get to base camp, the bigger the achievement when you actually get there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And all of this, is I suppose the big message, hopefully we're getting across, is that obviously we're on your side. We'll do everything we possibly can physically to help and get you guys on these trips and make it happen. Excuse me. Wow. I still got it.
Still got it.
Still got it all this time.
All these years. I've never known him not have
so it went down the wrong way.
I've never known you not have a snivel.
I'm all right. The nose is fine. It's
have
just literally.
Have you got a tissue on you?
I have.
Yeah. He's always got one.
Well, that's because of my polyps. But no, and like I said, I just want everyone to understand that, I know a lot of you have been on trips with us already. A lot of you maybe are thinking about your upcoming trip as well, and obviously the pressures that are coming with that now, because obviously the message you received from us yesterday was like, look guys, options to reschedule if you want to, and if you want to do that, because I know uncertainty isn't for everyone, you can go to we can push you to the spring, where the spring, historically has been less impacted. I think obviously because the climbing season's there as well. Weather is definitely more reliable in the spring. Whereas you go in sort of away from winter instead of coming out of the monsoon. Obviously, it's just different.
Yeah.
But just to kind of finish off, because obviously we've got a lot of questions. I want you guys, to obviously any questions at all about any of this, do drop them in. But I just want everyone to realize that we're on your side. The team are working very hard out there. If you're out there and you see some of our team and they're a little bit stressed, it's because it's a lot going on. There's a lot of groups out there, and also just realize they're human beings. They're doing their best, and they, as we spoke to Anuj yesterday, and customers, he said, like, customers are like God to him, and he wants you to look after his God, and that's what he, and he's, because he's had a challenging time, Anuj, hasn't he? You need to relax a little bit, but obviously we're pulling in some more people out in the pool to help out, but I don't think he's ever spent so much time on the road to Ramachap.
No, yeah, he has literally done. He's been back and forth to Ramachap a number of times, and he's worked all through Deshane as well, which is, it's just like us working through Christmas and not even stopping to celebrate once. So he's done a great thing. Dave, really appreciate your comment. Six, really appreciate. I mean, honestly, those types of comments,
thanks, Dave.
They get us right there, because sometimes you do, like, all weekend I've been, on my computer or on my phone, pulling over the car to stop and answer messages and stuff like that. And we do it because we really care about you guys and want you to have an awesome trip. So it really does nice. Andrea makes a good point there as well, that it has to be safe, and that's our main priority. Because if you go back 30 years ago, some of these flights to look, they would probably wing it, right?
Literally, they would try. Kicking a bin, Dave?
Yeah, and
they would try and land, wouldn't they?
And
nuts, really.
It's why it's got its reputation as the world's most dangerous airport. It's not the world's most dangerous. Well, it might be, but it's got that reputation because of people taking risks in the weather, and we don't
They don't do that anymore.
I would much rather send people on a trip that's perhaps a little bit different, a little bit shorter than what they were intended, than fly them into the side of a cliff. I've always said that, and always said that.
That is fair.
It's always said that. And I can get 100% of everyone we've ever sent on a trip has come back alive.
Yes.
And we want to maintain that record, don't we?
Let's not tempt fate.
Let's touch wood. Let's touch wood. Yeah. But what do you reckon? Should we dive into some cues?
Yeah,
we've got a couple, haven't we?
We've got some good ones. Yeah, and obviously not just about Nepal, other countries as well, because weather can affect any trip. But thanks, Peter, as well. Appreciate that, mate. Yeah, it is a bit mad, but. We're all good. It's just, this is what we're here, guys. This is our, this is our job, and we love it, and we want to make these things happen for you guys. But Anne, are the refuges where we sleep at Tupkal as cold as the tea houses in Everest? It's a good question, actually.
I'd say no.
No, it's different up there. Obviously, if you go in during winter, you can't get around it. It's going to be cold. You're going to be wearing your down jacket. You're going to be in that sleeping bag with probably more than just your underwear. But certainly, I think the tea houses in Everest, in terms of the way they're built, I mean, the refuge, the walls are thick. It's quite warm, actually, inside, isn't it?
Well, I had heat exhaustion, so I was both sweating and shivering the entire time. So maybe you would be best to give an actual example of what it's like. But I've been in some lodges, particularly in Nepal, where you've been, you need your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Where in Tupkal, I didn't really need it. I didn't feel it
wear
that time.
It's on top of you, right?
Also, it's like it's a dormitory, right? So there's more people in there, so naturally
that's true.
It'll heat up,
Yeah.
But awesome. Rob Oakley says,
yes,
the long range 14-day forecast looks improved. Is this our understanding? If so, do you anticipate the backlog clearing in the next couple of weeks? Rob, great question. It is our understanding that the weather is going to improve,
at least for a few days.
I think it's going to get much better, which does kind of match up with when we've got people arriving, which is good. Then it goes a little bit ropey again, and then it kind of improves in the over the 14 days, like you've said. The backlog will get cleared, certainly.
It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time now. And with all the other companies as well as ours, isn't it? That with there's a lot of EverTrekkers out there, but there's also a lot of other customers. Other companies were stuck.
I mean, we've seen it in Lukla, when we were stuck there and the weather's bad, and then all of a sudden they get a weather window. Those planes arrive thick and fast, and they turn around in about 15 minutes and go back.
Crazy,
and then they turn around again and come back, and it's like it's non-stop. And then you've got choppers landing, so and this, the team are used to it. So I honestly can say that the backlog will get cleared. and then it's just a matter of getting you all up to base camp.
Yeah, exactly. Just reading Mark EV's comment. Honestly, safety is everything. I was at EBC October 14 when the cyclone hit Annapurna region. Wow, mate, that must have been nuts. But yeah, it is, as Mark says there. Yeah, you want a company that's on your side. That looks after you. Although Jim is right, they couldn't afford your bar bill. That's right. Well, Nick was there for 10 days, and he was with Brian, so that bar bill was significant.
I believe that
in Kathmandu.
I believe the barman is still recovering from exhaustion.
He is it? Yeah, PTSD. After
Yeah,
that,
and I think he's actually got repetitive strain injury from hauling pints for so long.
10 days in Kathmandu. Wow. There's worse places to be stuck, right? But
I mean, I'm glad they had such a good time because I remember it being the 10 most stressful days of my life. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Who's next?
Yeah, sorry, we've got Tom. Tom Keach. Hi guys. Just stumbled across your podcast the last few days and I've watched about 100 episodes. Wow. That's a busy few days.
Yeah, that's intense.
Question I have, after you complete EBC, would there be an option to pay extra to get a helicopter? Look at Kathmandu. I know you normally only use them. Something on my bucket list. Keep up the awesome work. Hopefully see you on trek soon. Yeah, so Tom, with choppers and things, some of the lodges actually do. So in Gorakshep and Ferice, Dingboche, some of the actual lodges can organise those choppers for you. We always say have a chat with our guys first, but they can organise that for you. Obviously, an additional cost. Some people, want to kind of skip the return journey. Personally, in my experience, the return journey is nice, just because you're on the way down, you get more oxygen, and you get to see things you don't see on the way up. Because on the way up, you can imagine, you've got this challenge, getting to Everest Base Camp, your head's down, you've got your poles, and we always say stop, take pictures, look around. But sometimes you're in the mode, right? Whereas on the way down, you've done it, you feel great. It's still challenging on the way back. Even though you're going down, it's actually like one of the days is like 800 meters of ascent, and that's on the way down.
Drives me mad.
Which is on the big day back to Namche. But yeah, if you did want to do that, mate, there is an option. And obviously the costs, again, like we said earlier, in terms of helicopter companies, they do change. So you can. Is there an option to pre-book on the way back? I don't think there is there? You've got to
on the choppers.
On the choppers, you've got to get it at the lodge, right? We'll have a chat at least that time.
Yeah, thing is, we can potentially look to do it. Ideally, we want everyone to kind of walk the whole length of the, walk
the itinerary.
It's Lukla to Lukla via EBC a lot of the time.
Yeah, good point.
It is possible we can pre-arrange a helicopter. The reason why I'm not saying 100% we can do it is because if you're relying on that to come back and then there's a weather delay, it becomes problematic. Nothing in the Himalaya is quite black and white. It can always be a little bit iffy. And the weather's got to play ball, and there's usually a couple of things that have to line up. So what we always say is we can have a plan, but be ready for that plan to change. And we also need to talk about it day to day going forward.
I love Sophie's comment there. Just don't have too many beers at the Irish pub in Namche, like some of us did, and got a chopper to Lukla. Sounds good. So some other people got choppers to Lukla as well.
Yeah, twice. Yeah. After what I just said, I've done it. The thing is, I've done EBC 4 times.
I was going to say you've earned it.
I've earned it. Yeah.
Earned it.
So after the first 2 times, and actually, I
just take the knife out.
Yeah, that's fine. And also shingles.
No excuse.
No excuses. No excuses. Yeah, you're right enough.
No, you did.
Summit or Cairn.
But no, I love that. Yeah, no, I can imagine, and getting it from what is it? It's either a 7-hour hike or a 9-minute chopper ride from Namche to Lukla. So Sophie, fair dues. Been there ourselves, mate.
Yep. If you forget your phone, sometimes it helps. Yeah, should we tell
honest answer?
Yeah, honest answer. Yeah, should we tell that one? And we were leaving Gorakshep one day, and we were just walking, just literally 10 minutes outside of Gorakshep. Andy, I left my phone back at the lodge. All right, mate, go and get it. Goes and gets it, and I waited for him for a little bit, and then I thought you'll catch up, and then overhead, and Bibek said to me, "I bet that was Andy," and I went, "Nah, he wouldn't do that." and then as we get to Lobouche, a couple of hours later, he's like, "Hey boys!" I was like, "Unbelievable!" So the joke was then, as soon as we set off, it was always, "Oh, I left my phone back."
Well, it perks the job, right? So some customers were getting evacuated, and And I said, look, guys, can you just drop me in Lobuche and I'll surprise the guys?
Yeah.
I was how did you get here?
Oh, it's such a good surprise.
that was funny. That was funny.
Awesome. Becky has said, Hi, Becky. As well as the questions you've mentioned, it would be really useful to cover what unexpected costs people need to be aware of should there be delays due to weather, and how these can be paid for, i.e. cash, credit card, etc. If extra hotel accommodation is required while waiting for the Lukla flight, is this an extra expense? Are there any other potential expenses to be aware of? If you're unable to afford the helicopter option, is there a cost to transfer to a different trek, for example, Annapurna, BC? Can this be done before waiting 3 days for a Lukla flight? So quite a lot of questions here, Becky. I'll do my best to get all of them done.
Good ones.
So first of all,
how they pay.
How they pay. Yeah, you can pay with cash or card. A lot of the time, if it's card, they'll need to make a phone call, and then we can charge the card over the phone. But generally, there's no problem either way. Unexpected costs are obviously the helicopter is a big one. So an example of why we might need a helicopter, you head to Kathmandu or Ramachap, weather comes in, planes can't fly, but we can get you a helicopter. Anuj, sorry,
I'm going to choke to death.
There you have it. So Anuj then would generally get in touch with the helicopter. We'd negotiate the best price possible. That's split evenly between everyone that wants to use it. And it's around Ramachap to Lukla, maybe $400. And so that is a payment then that needs to be made. If it can't be made and you're there ready to go in the helicopter, we're not completely inflexible. You just need to let Anuj know, and he can let us know, and then we can come up with a plan where we can sort of, discuss a payment option or something like that. But ideally, you want to pay for it up front.
Especially at the moment, isn't it? I know helicopter companies are being a lot stricter, and it's just ease to pay up front. In terms of for their helicopter, just because it's done, it's dusted, and it's kind of I think the fairest way to kind of do it. If that makes sense.
Peter, $400 each. Yes. Helicopters, unfortunately, are very expensive, particularly when you're flying from Ramachap, or even more expensive if you're flying from Kathmandu. But generally, around $400 each is the best price negotiable that we can get.
Sometimes get lower, don't they? But it's the demand. It's because sometimes they'll go, "Sorry, guys, it's 600."
And
and it's like,
this is the one thing I want to say as well, guys. It's not. Nothing is set in stone. I say 400 now because the recent ones that I've dealt with have been around that cost. When you arrive, it could be 200 or 600. These things are all dependent on where the helicopters are, what the demand is for them. I always give the example of helicopters in the Himalaya are like taxis. You want to get a taxi on January the 1st or New Year's Eve, it's going to cost you a lot more than any other time. That's the kind of way it works because of the amount of demand and things. But one thing, again, to reiterate, is we don't charge for it. We simply negotiate the price, the best possible price on your behalf. And you also know that we're doing it with a reputable company that's not going to rip you off or anything like that. The other one is obviously if you have to spend extra nights in the hotel. Now, if that happens in Kathmandu, yes, those costs, the extra additional nights that you're stuck there, you do have to pay for. Generally, I think it's around $60
US a night,
something along those lines. If anyone really wants to know, send us in a message after this, and I'll double check. Between 60 and 80, I'd say, is a good ballpark per night for those extra nights and things like that. We do try our best to take into consideration the circumstances. So if there's anything we can do to avoid those costs or lessen them, we'll do it.
Because sometimes we're trying to negotiate with obviously because we still get charged. When it comes to it, and obviously the hotel will charge us. So obviously then we've got to it's just basically having a chat with them, and if we can avoid it, we will. Always
100%. Because the last thing we want is for people to be charged extra, because we're not hoity-toity businessmen. We're trekkers like you. The first time we ever went out to Nepal was as customers ourselves. So we took on the risks that you guys take on as well. And we also do every time we go there, subject to delays and changes and things like that. We've had to pay for helicopters to get from Lukla back to Kathmandu before. So it is something that we're all subject to. And then the other question was, is there an option? So if you absolutely can't afford the helicopter and EBC is no longer an option for you for various reasons, can you go to Annapurna? Yes. So we absolutely want to avoid a situation where someone is left having to go home early. It's not what we want. It's devastating. It would really break my heart if that were to happen.
I can't remember. I mean, yeah, over the last 6.5 years, we've never had that before, have we?
No, never. We've always managed to work something out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're not, we're human beings as well. At the end of the day, we're human beings that love the same travel that you guys do.
Yeah.
So if you come to us with a problem, we'll do our best to try and work it.
Yeah, and I'm just noticing, I think the last few comments there, obviously, and Jim mentioned $80. So thanks, Jim.
He's a good employee, is that Jim?
He knows his stuff. No, thanks, mate. But I think David mentioned you may find you can claim some of the helicopter costs back from insurance. Was able to do this in 2017. And Bri mentions True Traveller as an optional travel disruption add-on. Yeah, so do check your insurance. Definitely any additional costs. I know that there are travel disruption, cancellation insurance, all that stuff. And obviously we use some of these policies ourselves, more so with True Traveller, personally. And I know there are certain covers that can cover you for that if you purchase them beforehand.
Yeah.
Then if there are significant disruption, then you can claim those costs back. Obviously, appreciate you'd have to obviously pay for them first and then claim them. So if there is an option, you can have a credit card or something just to cover those costs, or have some money kind of aside that you can cover them.
Yeah.
Obviously, you will get that back, but obviously you have to outlay that first. But yeah, cheers guys as well for all of I know a lot of our EverTrekkers have used many different insurers. But Campbell Irvin again is another one. £26 for flight delays. Emily, yeah, exactly. I mean, insurance, isn't it? It's one of those things that you don't really want to pay a lot for, but I suppose the more you pay, you're gonna get better. You're gonna get better cover.
Yes, that's what I do.
Which is good.
I always go for the most expensive, most expansive insurance policy I can get, because I'm all about peace of mind, which is why I have every vaccination, which is why I have so much surplus kit and battery packs and everything. I just like peace of mind. I don't want to stress over these things.
Excuse me.
So I want to make sure that every possible scenario is covered, and that's my advice to anyone else as well.
Yeah.
I mean, these trips, we know they're not cheap, and you that kind of equates that if you go on an expensive trip, you may need an expensive insurance policy to cover you for that as well.
Exactly. Andrew makes a good point there about because I think in terms of like how long does it take, can this be done before waiting 3 days for a local flight? I think was from Becky. But just in terms of the day, so like at the moment we've had to become quite creative with this. But essentially, I mean, like anything, right? You can walk anywhere. It's obviously quite far. What we've done is there's a little kind of landing spot at Faplu. Give a little Google, Phaplu. Now I know some EverTrekkers have had to land there before because they were on their way to by helicopter from Kathmandu to Lukla, and because the weather came in and was really bad, they had to make an emergency landing in Faplu. Now, essentially, this means that if we're the complete last resort, you can take a really long coach ride, which is like an entire day, like 12 to 14 hours, then another 8 hours Jeep ride, and then another hike before you get to Faplu. So it's a few days to get there. I think as Andrew mentioned there used to be in the old school way, before Lukla was even a thing back in the 50s, was that you used to have to, you could walk from Jiri, which is like several days to get to Lukla. So there are kind of those options in terms of us, but because of time, obviously we're restricted in terms of how many days that we can kind of change. But there's always like a way. It's just like the guys have been on a proper adventure the last couple of days.
Yeah, no, they've been troopers, to be fair.
I think there's 2 or 3 teams who have had to do that, and we've literally had to hire a local bus, get the jeeps, all the logistics we've had to sort just to get people to Faplu, and just so they can get to the Evers region, because we know that the weather's not going away.
Yep. Awesome. Next is Shane.
Okay. First up, thanks to Andy for the video. No worries, Shane. Arriving Kathmandu in a couple of weeks. If we end up getting a chopper, can the cost of the flight, so I presume the Lukla flight, be put towards the extra cost? And if not, why? Good question, mate. We've had some questions like this before, because essentially we don't get this money back. If we book your flights, and obviously they don't go ahead, we don't see any of that, which is why then we can't offset it, if that makes sense. So that we'd love to. Honestly, we would do everything we possibly can. We don't make a profit out of this, in terms of if your flights don't happen, because obviously these have got to be organised in advance.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it's hard. I think there are some local companies, because I remember when I was over there myself, and I was stuck in Lukla, and I got the chopper. I was able to get like $100 back or something. But that's because I was using it was a different situation in terms of getting that money back, but we can't get it back, unfortunately. So you know, we'll obviously try and get as cheap as we can with the helicopter companies. But yeah, it's once it's paid for, we don't see that.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to like one thing as a company, we absolutely we don't want to and have no interest in profiting off anybody's sort of misfortune.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
if the trip changes or anything like that, we do what we can to make sure that every possible benefit is given to you guys.
Yeah.
So you know, it's not like we'll say, oh no, we've claimed that now, so now you have to buy another one. If we can offset, we'll offset. If we can change things around and help you, we can. But generally speaking, things like transfers, flights, permits and things like that are all like a non-refundable option. Diane Fizakali Barker has said, I think she's asked a couple of questions because I just spotted one there. So
it's good.
if it becomes apparent it won't be time to get EBC or at least a couple of days of a trek, can we switch to Annapurna? Oh yes, we can. Hopefully, Diane, you've caught a few answers on that one now.
Yes.
I'm guessing that would be really complicated with changing tea houses. Honestly, our guides are equipped to be able to do that change for you last minute. So again, it's not ideal, but we can do that. We can, we'll have enough time. The second one she asked about was reassure you that it's no problem getting a visa on arrival. Yeah. I've done that twice myself, Diane, on arrival in Nepal.
Yeah. I've done it every time. 7 times I've done it.
You never got one in advance?
No, just got it when I arrived.
Oh, right. I thought you did one time.
No.
No.
Never been to London, never done that. I just get it on arrival.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I've done it twice, and then the other 2 times I got it in advance.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that you get off the plane, you walk down a corridor, and the first hall you go into is the visa hall.
Yeah.
And there's like a hustle and bustle, and it can be a little bit confusing. But essentially, you need to go to one of the machines that looks like a cash machine.
Yeah.
Fill it in, spits out a form, take that to the first counter you see, pay some money. So you will need some dollars. I recommend taking at least like $50, $60, $70 with you to pay for the visa. And then you go to another counter, and then he stamps it, and then you can go through. That process, depending on how many people are on your flight and other flights, can take an hour or 3. I made a big mistake in Tanzania where
I remember that. Yeah,
I didn't have any money on me at all. I thought I could just. I don't know why I assumed this. It was so stupid of me because I've never been able to do it before.
Well, it was your first time there.
But I thought, I'll use my card. Sure, it's no problem. And when I got there, I had no cash, and so Tanzania, being a slightly more relaxed country than it is, he said, well, just go through security, through the metal detectors, through all of that, out the airport, go to the cash point, draw some money out, come back in the wrong way through security, come back to the visa counter and pay for it. So
it was quite funny. It was like they actually just let you into the country.
Yeah, so I literally left the airport, went to a cash machine, and I genuinely thought that someone was going to nab me and be like, where's your visa? And I'd get fined or something, but it was fine. And but actually I had to go out, draw currency, but you can't use their currency to pay for the visa. So then I had to go to a bureau de change, change it for dollars. By the time I got it to the car, I was sweating a
lot. Sean asked a good question, actually. What do you think would be the impact on the level of traffic on the trails? Obviously, because of the backlog, right? But yeah, it's a very good question. I think knowing the kind of trails as they are, maybe the first couple of days might be a little bit busier, but I think a lot of those people will be already kind of up into the Khumbu Valley by then. You might see them on the way back, but if you're going in 2 weeks, it won't be any busier than normal, I would say. Maybe the first couple of days, but certainly won't be like the M25. I think you'll be fine. Because once you get further into the trip and the valley opens up, it's you can have your own space. It's quite nice.
Yeah, I think just like up to Namche and possibly up to Tengboche is where after there it does seem to thin out.
Doesn't it?
You seem to see like from Namche onwards, people are going to 3 Passes, Gokyo, Classic EBC. There will be some people that will be going to Amadablam and things like that. So it does spread out a bit, but certainly anytime you go to a popular destination, you'll see some people. But it's once everyone's out of Lukla, you'll notice it day by day getting thinner in terms of crowd.
Zach Ashton, have you ever had any problems weather-wise or things in nature on the Toubkal trek? Yeah, good question. I know we've focused on Nepal a lot. But yeah, in Morocco, we rarely had that kind of issue, only because you haven't got to fly to to Toubkal. It's, obviously you got to go to Marrakesh, but because you can essentially walk there. I say the only problem you would have if it was extreme weather, if the snow was bad, if there was avalanche risk, that would be the only thing I would say, which is common in any area. We've never had any of those issues on Toubkal. Talking about other trips, similar in terms of where you've got to go to, I'd say Kili was one actually that surprisingly we were lucky because when we arrived into I think it was it Barathu? It was Barathu, and it was people coming down from the summit, and literally they couldn't summit because it was too windy. They had to get turned around. Luckily, the wind dropped when we were there. Still significant.
Well, it was the night before for us. Yeah, so it was when we were in Karanga
camp.
Yeah, we had it was a big storm.
Yeah.
And that was the day before we were due to summit, because technically we go to the summit the same night we arrive in Barathu, right? So yeah, Karanga, and it was like Pink Floyd in your tent. It was like this big
storm, wasn't it? Yeah.
I was glad we weren't on there at that time, but actually, well, I wouldn't want to have turned around, but it would have been pretty epic. We got cold though.
It was very cold.
Ours was a much colder night. Derry has asked, I'm going in May just because those who have been have said it's the best conditions, less likely to have problems. Honestly, yeah, I'll be honest with you, I used to say October was a great time, but a cyclone is something that you can't predict in advance. But I've been in May and I had wonderful conditions. It's an interesting time as well because people tend to go for the summit in May.
Yeah.
So you brush shoulders with those people that are heading up the big boy.
Yeah, that's it. It's on the ones on Everest. What else we got here? We've got power banks. I think it might have already been answered, but yeah, what size do you recommend? How many do you recommend? There's loads of good ones. I've got quite a lot of the big ones. I think they're 26-800 Anker power banks. They charge your phone kind of several times. Yeah, absolutely awesome. Obviously, there's loads of different size, but yeah, and I think Brian mentioned there's some offers at the moment. So yeah, it's really good.
I think Amazon Prime are doing like a 2-day Prime free thing.
Okay.
So they might have some on there. Generally, the bigger the size you get, the less you need.
Yeah.
If you want to stay powered for 2 weeks or more.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I take about 3 with me, but that's because I generally need to stay in contact and charge some devices. But otherwise, I've known people take 1 or 2.
Yeah, just I think Shane just put there. Just spoken to Campbell Irving. They won't cover extra costs for helicopters. Travel disruption compensation only.
Yeah,
is cancelled either before or when in Nepal. Okay, yeah, I know that it depends on the reason. Knowing insurance companies, depends on the reason that you have the helicopter. Because helicopters is a big thing, they might kind of say no, we don't cover that unless this happens. But some do have travel disruption. Obviously, Campbell Irving, they might not offer that. Other companies might, Shane. So, yeah, obviously, it's good to know. It's good to know, obviously, which companies if anyone else speaks to their travel company, the insurance company, we're the travel company, to insurance company and has similar kind of knowledge, then it'd be good to do that. Because we've heard people claiming it back. And we'll find out who that is with as well, because I know True Traveller, like I said, they do have specific ones for that. Weather delays, obviously, it's quite a big one if you claim because of weather delays. Yeah, definitely let us know. I left my just looking at Sophie as well. Left my phone on flight mode. Yeah, that does help.
Certainly helps.
Definitely. GS Insurance do helivac cover. So that's Andrew Scott. Okay, have to look at them. Definitely.
Awesome. Sophie Stokes does the weather look though? Does it look like it's going to improve due to Fly Out Friday?
Okay.
It actually does look like it's going to improve for Friday. And then I think
it was by the time she gets to Lukla, right? Because that's Monday by the time she flies.
Yeah, I spoke to Anush today, and he's pretty confident that that those group, the one that Sophie is not going to have a problem. But again, nothing's black and white, and we can't control the weather. But at the moment, it's looking relatively positive for that. Yeah. It's one of those where it's going to be a little bit kind of squeaky bum time when it comes to the weather. If it was me, I'd still be going, and I would just sort of hope for the best with weather-wise. But at the moment, the information is that it's going to get better on Friday. But for how long is questionable.
Yeah, and some people, we had a lot of people actually come back yesterday and wanting to kind of move as well. Like obviously, if the disruption is too much, and you're kind of thinking, okay, actually, I kind of want to have a bit more certainty. Don't forget, we can move your move your trip. Obviously, I know there's obviously costs involved if you've got to change your flights, things like that. But just let you know there are options, and if you do want to kind of be a bit more reassured and move to the spring, or even next year, just let us know. Unfortunately, we had quite a lot of rescheduling people during COVID, so we're kind of used to it now. Obviously, we don't really want that. We want you guys to go and have an awesome time, but just let us, we're here if you want to do that.
Sophie's 110%, so we'll go in.
Awesome.
Because she's an EverTrekker.
No, great stuff. Well, look, I know we've got a few minutes left, and just to kind of swing back to what we were talking about, and really the title of it is Weathering the Weather, and is really around, look, the weather is challenging at the moment. Obviously very, very, very unseasonal in terms of it's not normally like this far into October. Obviously, there's been some sort of bad typhoons, that kind of stuff, and it's really just about kind of looking at it and remembering that these things do happen. Try and remain as flexible as possible. We're on your side, whatever happens. So we're there to make things as easy as possible. And obviously the guys on the ground as well are there to help you. And just kind of maybe give them a little pat on the back when you're out there, because obviously when they're out there, I'd love to be well done, Anuj. Say hello to Anuj for us. Obviously we've been chatting to him personally on the phone, but and the rest of the team. But definitely, look after the guys out there. They'll look after you. Don't forget the human beings as well. They're dealing with all of this craziness. And they're trying to sort the helicopters, accommodation, transport, everything. Kind of last minute is a bit nuts. And I want to give them a kind of high five, for that virtual high five. And so if you're out there, give them a physical high five because they're awesome.
Yeah,
great team. But Dave, any final thoughts on the weather, mate? I know we've kind of covered loads today.
I mean, I'm not going to do it. I was going to do a pun thing. Don't let it dampen your spirits, and stuff like that. But honestly, guys, it is about just, sometimes the weather does play a hand in what we do, especially when it comes to adventure travel.
Yep.
If you go into a really populated place, all that means is you're going to get wet. If you go into a place as remote as Lukla and the Everest region, then it might mean that you have to make some changes that are a bit uncomfortable. But honestly, that's part of the adventure, and the tougher the journey, the greater the prize. So, it's a greater story to tell when you get back. The perseverance, and you don't want to. Everyone goes to. Sometimes you want to come back from EBC and you want to have a story of daring do and adventure. You don't want to come back and say, everything was fine. But I mean, I suppose I want that. I want that because I sleep better. But when you come back and you say we have to do this, we have to do that, we change this, we had this mad car journey. It's a story that you can tell your kids and your grandkids, and
exactly.
Or if you're like me, you can just tell your mates.
Definitely. No, Dave's right. These kind of things they do make for a more interesting story when you look back on it, right? But hopefully we can minimize that as the impact as much as we can. But stay safe, everyone. It's been great today. I hope today's been useful in some way, just in terms of understanding the weather and what can happen. What options there are. And also how we work things. So I hope it's definitely useful in some way. If you are due to go, have a safe flight over. If you do want to reschedule, as I said in my video yesterday and some of the FAQs, there are options. If you want to move it, a bit more certainty. Fingers crossed about the weather. As Dave mentioned, hopefully getting better. Even though obviously into next week it looks like it's getting challenging again. But the weather, the long-term forecasts always change, don't they? So definitely keep an eye on those. I've been keeping an eye on the live cam and Lukla. Buddha Lodge, give that a little Google. That's been quite interesting. But no, we hope it's been useful in some way. It's given you some confidence, hopefully, that we're on your side and we're looking after you as best we can. But we'll see you next week. We've got a big one next week. Really excited. It is going to involve some sort of boots. But we'll definitely update you. We're not going to. I'll give you a little clue. It's not going to be in this room.
Are we doing it back in the other room?
Okay, right. It's not in the EverTrek office at all.
Are we working from home again?
Nope.
Well, I guess I'll find out.
It's going to be great anyway. But no, we'll see you next week. I say it's going to involve boots, it's going to involve equipment. So have a guess where that's going to be. And we'll anything you need, just reach out to the team. That's what we're here for. And we will see you next week.
Stay frosty.
See you guys. Bye.
So that's a weather-related sign off. Stay frosty.
Wow, you got it in there.
Yeah.